Hi there, this is Kevin Patton with a brief audio introduction to episode number 66 of the A&P Professor Podcast, also known as TAPP Radio, an audio survival bunker for teachers of human anatomy and physiology. Our friends at ADInstruments, who are helping to support this episode, have just announced an offer to let any of us use their LT online learning platform for free. Their LT platform is an online learning environment that you can set up very quickly and contains ready-to-use content for anatomy, physiology, and related courses, even medical courses. It has over 360 interactive and fully customizable lessons and labs that are just the thing for remote learning. You want to know more about this? Yeah, I knew it. Just go to adinstruments.com/LT/COVID-19 to find out more, or use the link in the show notes or episode page. In the upcoming full episode, that is episode number 66, we're going to continue the conversation about how to quickly and effectively move our on-campus A&P course to remote learning. And as part of that discussion, I'm going to talk about what author and Professor Brené Brown calls FFTs. Now, I translate FFTs as fumbling first tries. She has another phrase she uses, and I'll talk to you about what that phrase is and why it's important for A&P teaching in the full episode. Something else I'm going to talk about is a phenomenon called Zoom bombing. And it's something that I put some links in the show notes for the previous episode, but I didn't run across it in time to get it into the audio part. So I'm going to be doing that in the full episode 66. Something else I'll be talking about briefly is the online protein folding game called Fold It, and how we can use that in teaching and learning in A&P and how that relates to the current pandemic. And the featured topic is going to be about our teaching slides, how we can keep them simple and keep them connected to the story we're going to tell. And these are skills that I've learned and I'm continuing to learn over a period of time. And it can help us now at this time when we're scrambling to deliver our story and our slides in a different way than we're used to. But these are principles and techniques that can also be used once we get back on campus too. So all of that and more coming up in full episode number 66. The free distribution of this podcast is sponsored by the Master of Science in Human Anatomy and Physiology Instruction, the HAPI degree. Our graduates are now ready and able to move quickly to remote learning, having had both the student and teacher experiences and training needed to be experts. Check out this online graduate program at nycc.edu/HAPI, that's HAPI, or click the link in the show notes or episode page. I know you've missed it, but here it is, finally, once again, Word Dissection, where we practice what we all do in our teaching and take apart words and translate their parts to deepen our understanding. Sometimes they're old and familiar terms, and sometimes they're terms that are new to us, maybe so fresh that they're new to everyone. And the first one on our list today should not be surprising. It's the term virus. Now, that's a simple term that everybody uses all the time, but what does it literally mean? Well, it literally means, when we translate it, poison, which makes sense, right? It can also mean slime or ooze, which makes it sound even uglier and nastier than just thinking of it as poison. So these little particles that are creating such havoc in our world right now, those we can think of in a way as poison particles. Of course, they're going to be working differently than many other poisons do, but they are a hazard, a particle that is a hazard to our biological function. The next term on our list is related, and that is coronavirus. And the word part corona, which actually is part of a lot of different terms in anatomy and physiology, as well as in virology. And corona means crown. This virus is named for the crown-like arrangement of protein spikes in the virus particle's protein coat or capsid. And of course, the second part of the word is virus. So it's just corona attached to virus, meaning the virus with the crown or with this crown-like arrangement. And that group of viruses, called the coronaviruses, was named quite a while ago, back in the 1960s. So it's almost as old as I am. But of course, we've only more recently been hearing a lot about it in the news and in coming up in various conversations that we're hearing right now. And related to coronavirus is our next term on our word dissection list, and that is the name of the virus itself. And that is SARS-CoV-2. So that's capital SARS hyphen capital C small o capital V hyphen 2, SARS-CoV-2. And breaking that down, the first part, SARS, is an acronym that means Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. And this virus got that name because the virus that's causing the current outbreak is genetically related to the virus that caused the SARS outbreak of 2003. And then the next part, the CoV part, is short for coronavirus. Co for corona, V for virus. So putting those two parts together, SARS-CoV, we're talking about a SARS-related, at least, SARS-related coronavirus. Okay, that tells us a lot so far. But it wasn't the first one discovered. It wasn't the one that caused the SARS outbreak in 2003. It's a new one. So we're going to call it number 2, because it's not the first one. And SARS-CoV-2 was officially named in February of 2020. Now, this virus causes a disease that is called COVID-19. And COVID-19 was broken down in a word dissection back in the special post-preview episode, number 64. So you can go back and review that if you want. Now, in that previous word dissection, I mentioned that the World Health Organization named COVID-19. So that's the disease. And they named the disease using existing guidelines. And they did that on February 11th, 2020. Now, that's who names diseases in the ICD, or International Classification of Diseases. On the very same day, the International Committee on Taxonomy of Viruses, or ICTV, named the SARS-CoV-2 as the agent of that disease. Now, it's the ICTV who sets the official names of viruses. So, the World Health Organization names diseases, and this organization on the taxonomy of viruses, they name viruses. Their official name is International Committee on Taxonomy of Viruses, ICTV. Now, interestingly, the World Health Organization has been avoiding using the term SARS-CoV-2 directly when they're giving out their public communications because they want to avoid the public confusing COVID-19 with SARS. That is that original outbreak from 2003, because it is a different virus and a different disease. Yeah, they're related. Yes, conceptually they're connected with each other, but it's so easy in public communications for things to get out of focus and confused. So in order to avoid confusion, they're instead referring to it indirectly as the virus responsible for COVID-19. Now, they're not denying or abandoning the official virus name. They're just, kind of finessing their language a little bit to avoid using the official name, again, to avoid confusion. The next term on our list is pandemic. And we all use this term a lot, but breaking it down, I think, gives us insights into its meaning that are a little bit different maybe than we have when we're not thinking too much about what it means. So the first word part, pan, means all. And the next word part, dem, means people, as in our term demographics or democratic. So when I say people, I'm really using that in the sense of a group of people, as we would look at in a demographic study, for example. And then the IC ending means relating to. So pandemic describes a situation that relates to all people. Now, of course, that's not meant absolutely literally. It just means that potentially all people could become exposed to a pandemic disease. or be affected directly or indirectly by a pandemic disease. Now, that's a more widespread phenomenon than the next term on our list, which is epidemic. And epi means upon. So we put that together, it's upon a group of people, or something relating to something that affects a whole group of people. So a condition becomes epidemic when a whole group of people is affected. When that extends to a wider group, that is across the globe, now again, not literally every single corner, but much more widespread than a typical epidemic, then we elevate that to the status of pandemic. And again, it's the World Health Organization that usually gives the official designation of something being an epidemic or pandemic. But you'll see these terms often used outside of those official designations. This podcast is sponsored by HAPS, the Human Anatomy and Physiology Society, promoting excellence in the teaching of human anatomy and physiology for over 30 years. Now is a great time to reconnect with HAPS and find out about virtual town hall meetings coming up soon and a bunch of regional meetings slated for the future. Go visit HAPS at theapprofessor.org/HAPS. That's HAPS. Hey, let's step into the bookshop. Oh, wait a minute. There's a sign on the door. They're closed because of social distancing during this pandemic outbreak. Oh, well, good for them. I think that's the right thing to do. But what are we going to do about the AP Professor Book Club? Oh, yeah. I have a key. I'm just going to go ahead in. So let's go into the bookshop and see what we want to add to our personal, professional bookshelf. Aha, here's the book I'm looking for. An old but favorite book called Presentation Zen, Simple Ideas on Presentation Design and Delivery by Gar Reynolds. Now, the name of this book pretty much sums up the central message, and that is simplifying our presentations, specifically our slide presentations, in a way that makes them way more effective. This is a quest I've been on for decades, one that I'm going to share more about in the upcoming full episode. This book is a perfect companion to that discussion because it's one of the many tools I've used to simplify and improve my presentations over the years. Now, there's a lot of advice in the book, but 3 pieces of advice that really pop out for me are these. Number 1, tell a story. That is, tell it. Don't put it all on your slide. Don't let your slide tell the story. You tell the story. Your slide is just a tool that you're going to use for you to tell your story. Tip number 2 that I learned from the book is use pictures a lot. That's what helps students really get it, and particularly in our fields of anatomy and physiology. The third thing that's in the book that really resonated with me is keep each slide simple. I mean, think about that. Do you really want them reading the slide, or do you want them listening to your story? Hopefully, they're listening to your story, not reading the slide, so you need to keep that slide as simple and as text-free, text-sparse as possible. Now, I'll leave the rest for you to discover and mull over and decide what you want to incorporate into your own teaching. Once again, the book is Presentation Zen, Simple Ideas on Presentation Design and Delivery by Gar Reynolds. A searchable transcript and a captioned audiogram of this episode are funded by AAA, the American Association for Anatomy. The April annual meeting of AAA had to be canceled, of course, but AAA is doing this amazing thing instead. They put together what they're calling the Virtual Annual Meeting Week, or VAMW for short. It's not really an online version of the conference exactly. Instead, it's a well-thought-out set of open access online symposia and other events that you can choose from. And there's an anatomy art show and a rundown of some of the research highlights that would have been explored at the meeting. Well, there's a lot there. It's just kind of hard to describe, and it runs from April 6th to April 10th. And you can find out more at theapprofessor.org/VAMW20. Well, this is Kevin Patton signing off for now and reminding you to keep your questions and comments coming. Why not call the podcast hotline right now at 1-833-LION-DEN? That's 1-833-546-6336, or visit us at theapprofessor.org. I'll see you down the road.